Alright, so here is where the one-day workshop kind of lives, and it's hosted on Piazza, which is a interactive site that we use to facilitate Q&A between the staff, so like us and the students. And it's really good at management, so it allows us to, contact students, stay in contact with them after. It allows us to work with TAs specifically, and then it just kind of allows us to host our workflow in a very easy to use way. So this is, our workflow, and we start with different videos like the introductory video and our first lecture, which talks about, for example, like logistics and whatnot. While this is loading, I really like this quote by Steve Jobs.
What do you want to be when you grow up, Olivia?
An astronaut. I want to be a fashion designer.
A basketball player.
I want to be an actor.
A doctor.
A teacher.
A chef.
An artist.
What do you want to be when you grow up? A mermaid.
Do you know what a computer programmer is?
Yeah, no. No. No.
I think it's something that has codes and is able to decode a mystery.
So I think that video is just a really, really great introduction to computer science in general, and it gets people excited about the possibilities, and that's something that's incredibly powerful in a workshop like this. Then we move on to something like lectures, which are then followed by activities. So lectures, this one goes over like logistics and whatnot. It goes over some introductory CS basics.
Different branches from the being good at being bossy. Okay, as a programmer, your job is to give orders to a computer in some language that the computer understands and that you can give it instructions in. And, there are actually many, many languages that computer scientists use. They all have their own drawbacks and flaws and stuff like that. Just to name a few, there's Java, Python, Swift, which is an iOS app, and C++, which is one of the faster computer languages out there. And so it turns out with 3 hours, I'm not here to teach you these languages. What we're going to be learning and, doing with these web...
Okay, so yeah, that's just a basic idea of what kinds of lectures and videos we show them. Then we do activities. So this activity is something called Lost on the Moon, and we've really done a lot of work to find activities that are both fun, but also encourage them to think very critically, both by themselves and in groups. So working in groups is just an incredibly big part of computer science, and I think, building teams early and building those social interactions and making sure, everybody is super comfortable around each other at the very beginning of the workshop is something that we've definitely tried to stress through activities that stress group activity and critical thinking, and we have the TA at the end kind of help the students through by explaining NASA's rank and the reasoning behind, the priorities for the things you need on the moon when you're lost. So this is just like a really cool kind of contrived activity, but it's also incredibly useful at breaking the ice, at helping get those brain juices flowing, and I think it's a really cool addition to our one-day workshop. We have more activities, but essentially the workflow goes like this. You watch a lecture, you do an activity, and then you respond to feedback on the activity itself. So, whether you thought the activity was good, meh, or bad. And if we're getting lots of bad or meh responses, then obviously we're going to change up the activity and make sure it's as good as possible. If the students aren't engaged in activity, then it's not a very effective activity, no matter how much it can possibly teach. We have them critically think about how the activity is related to computer science, which is just really important. Some things like that aren't, like, on the outside, superficially, they're not exactly related to computer science. But we want to encourage the idea that, computer science is all about finding new ways to solve problems, okay? And so we essentially want them to answer, how did this help us solve a problem? Why is this related to computer science? And then we also want to know if they have any feedback about, length of discussion time, or if the TA should be less or more involved, that kind of thing. And it's just a really, really cool workshop with resources at the end, for example, to 61A, which is UC Berkeley's intro course. And there's just a lot of really cool resources that we've included both within the workshop and outside it, for students to pursue after. And our goal over the next 8 months, is to add a bunch of workshops that sequence alongside this MVP workshop. And we're really proud of what we've done with this workshop and can't wait for future iterations.